I was amazed by the fact that you guys didn't really drink water so much. You drank milk all the time.
Yep.
So, how do you think your health was affected by that?
Didn't break many bones.
That's funny.
Only bone I ever broke.
You broke a toe, didn't you?
There's some little bone between two toes that collapsed when I jumped off the roof of the gym, the den at the football field. After getting somebody's knapsack, somebody thrown it up there. They threw me up on the building and I got it, threw it down, and I jumped off. Broke my toe, ended up in a cast for about 6 weeks. Everything was covered except my toe.
What was the point of that?
I had to keep my foot immobile. They
Did
gave
it
me
work?
crutches. I got rid of them real quick because they put a walking rubber deal. Hello, cat. They put a rubber deal on there for the cat. Within 2 weeks, that was off because I wore it out. Anyway, that was about 7th grade.
I was going to say, how old were you?
About 7th grade. We ended up the other day, where was I? Maybe elementary school, something like that, right?
So, we hadn't yet talked about the milk cow. We had started talking about the milk cow. You guys and the neighbors alternate, what?
The Coles.
Yeah, alternated milking the cow.
Yeah.
But there's a story about Bruce in there.
Oh yeah, there's the story about his confession. Of course, I was a little older than Bruce. I could always get more milk than he could. That gave him problems. So at some point, he decided to start watering the milk on the way back to the house faucet, so that he had as much milk as I did. He did that for a week or two, and then he couldn't handle it anymore. He had to confess. He went crying to Mom and Dad and confessed that he put milk or water in the milk. Of course, that old cow's milk was so thin you couldn't tell it anyway. I think Mom and them knew it. You could see through the stuff in the refrigerator, but they just let it go, I think, until he finally decided it was too much to handle, the guilt. Of course, I didn't take that route. I think I killed that cow. She was forever. You put kickers on her. We had kickers that go around the back muscle on the leg or the tendon. And it was just a headlock that old guy built with a piece of a post off a tree. And the cow couldn't get out of that. We had some cows that could, this stupid little Guernsey and whatever. I mean, she could wiggle her head out of that silly thing. But that Holstein couldn't. But you put those kickers on that Holstein, try and keep her. And when she got through eating, she was leaving. So you didn't want her to run it. You wanted to finish before she got finished. And but sometimes just out of orneriness, she'd go to cutting up. But she could bend them kickers, and she could get out of them. And she cut herself up, in the legs and whatever, doing it, but she didn't care. But she'd get her foot in the bucket or knock the bucket over or whatever, and you'd lose a day's milk or mess it up. Of course, a little bit of crap, you can always strain that out. But,
Gross.
hey, we had to live. But anyway, one day she got to cutting up. I think she knocked the bucket over. Anyway, she got me mad. I then kicked them kickers off, and I swung them around my head a couple of times and just knocked the tar out of her on the side.
Jeez, Dad.
It's a chain about 2 foot long, whatever, wouldn't it be? I think died of yellow jaundice about a month later. I don't know whether she got infected or something in the cut or whatever. But anyway, she was a good milk cow. I hope I didn't kill her. But anyway, we had calves. Every once in a while, Franklin and I'd try and ride a calf. You couldn't stand those silly things. They just throw you off. But yeah, milk would get up in the morning, 5:30, cold. Goodness gracious, seemed like I'm sure there was summer in there somewhere, but all I remember is the cold. But I'd get up and make 5 or 6 deals of toast with sugar on it, butter, a cup of coffee. I don't remember whether I ate before. I probably milked first and then came in and ate. Seems ready for school. But, yeah, milking a cow was something. We'd go. I think it was every week we'd switch morning and night with the coals. And then I think I had a week, and then Bruce would have a week or something like that. Of course, Dad was in there on some occasion, give us a break. But I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it's probably 6, 7, 8 years milking a cow.
How'd you get along with Bruce?
Had pretty good grip. Huh?
How'd you get along with Bruce?
Bruce? Yeah, okay. I mean, he stayed out of my hair. I stayed, I had my friends. He had his friends. We didn't much.
Because y'all are only
hang
2
around
years
together.
difference in age?
Yeah, but it might as well have been a million.
Y'all just different or what?
Yeah. We had friends. Franklin was my best friend. And, but I had, kids I went to school with, and he had kids he went to school with, and we didn't cross paths very much. Later in life, Franklin flunked a couple of grades in elementary, so he ended up in Bruce's class. But we were still pretty close. And again, Bruce had his friends, I had mine. And, we'd fight like brothers do. I can remember when I was real small, I can remember beating up on him because he'd pick on Connie. Or at least I perceived he did. I'm not sure he did or not. It might have just been her. Yeah, that was interesting. I was looking at pictures yesterday. I noticed one where it had the old eye patch on. I'd kind of forgotten about that. Wearing that eye patch was something else. But there's one in there, maybe about 4 foot tall, wearing jeans, big old shoes, suspenders, little old t-shirt, wearing glasses. At that point, I didn't have the braces on, but you talk about nerdy looking. Between glasses and skinny and no hair and over clothes that were too big and braces. Looked like something out of a freak show. Got a number of fights. People picking on me, whatever. That was kind of normal.
There's one fight that I can't remember the guy's name. Your infamous one, Corky?
Corky, yeah.
How old were you for that?
I was in the 7th grade.
What happened?
He was picking on Cornelius Bruget. And Cornelius was more a nerd than I was. He looked the part too, but didn't have the glasses and the braces. But anyway, Corky was picking on him again. I remember he was upstairs. The junior high was two rooms in one building next to the gym. But he was upstairs, and I remember him picking on him, and I went over there and knocked the tar out of Corky for picking on Cornelius. I had a couple of fights like that. I mean, the people I fought with were so surprised I hit them, they just kind of looked at me and walked off. The only one I ever remember winning or feeling like I had accomplished something was some kid, I don't know, there's another deal where he was picking on somebody or picking on me, I don't remember which, but I got him down and beat him. That was fun. And I remember another time some guy that was a year or two older than me, I think he was a senior or junior or senior, he knocked my books out of my arms again, and I hauled off to hit him, and I hit his clipboard and cut my hand.
Ouch.
And but it's another one where he never bothered me after that. It's just, golly, can't believe this guy's fighting back. And he, I don't know what it was, but he quit picking on me. But,
how old were you when you met Franklin?
gosh, when we moved there, because Franklin was in the same little old fellowship we were in there, little old Baptist church. My friends were basically the kids in the Baptist church. I mean, Corky was my age, Terry Hoychick, Franklin, Thurin, Witherwax. Although I didn't know Thurin that well when I was growing up, when I was a little kid. And, but there were 4 or 5 of us all about the same age, and we just hung out together. It was kind of like we We were different. We were Protestant, not Catholic, so I didn't have any real Catholic friends to speak of. Not that, you know, we were that different or whatever. It's just, I mean,
It's not the circles you run around in.
we spent our life at church almost. I mean, it was Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday nights, camping trips. You know, not Boy Scouts, was Royal Ambassadors.
Royal Ambassadors?
Yeah, RAs.
Is that a Baptist thing?
Yeah.
Are they still around?
I think that they are. Yeah, in fact, I'm pretty sure they are. That and
is it like Cub Scouts?
Yeah, it was.
Boy Scouts?
Yeah, we went camping, and there were badges and little sashes like the Boy Scouts wear. I think they may have even had a uniform, but I don't ever remember seeing one. And, but yeah, you earned, you know, deals and all. You know, it was very much like the Boy Scouts.
I've never heard you talk about it. Did you think it was cool, or you didn't care?
No, that was our life. I mean, we were our age. Hey, that's just it. I never even dreamed of joining the Boy Scouts. Bruce did that and earned Eagle Scout real young and all that kind of good stuff. But biggest deal was camping trips. We went camping a lot, and camping was, you know, I can remember a Sunday school teacher named Leonard Romero, who was probably one of the biggest sinners in town, but I don't know. At least that's the rumors. But Leonard would take us camping, and it's just a little old Sunday school class, maybe 5 or 6 of us. But I can remember going to, Mom and Dad bring us out to his house, and we get on his tractor. His tractor, he didn't even have a trailer, and he didn't have a seat on the tractor. He had a box that you could stand in. And we load all our junk up in that box and climb in there with him and ride the tractor out behind his house someplace, some little old bitty lake, and camp out for the night. Don't remember any tents. You know, just sleep on the ground. I remember one time going out there, there's a bunch of carp. We killed carp all day. That was fun. We had knives, and it was real shallow water. You just get in there and stab them. We had a ball killing carp.
Gross.
It's a good for nothing fish.
Yeah, I've seen them.
But you know, of course, I never had a BB gun. Everybody else had BB guns, so they go shooting robins.
Why didn't you get one?
Oh, I don't know. I guess they figured I'd shoot somebody, which I did, even though I didn't have one. I shot Dwight with a wax in the back one time. We had gone to somebody's house visiting, and they had a little rifle or toy gun that would cock, and then you had to pull the trigger back, and then you could shoot it and it'd go pop. Well, I go to Dwight and him's house to visit, same day, a few hours later, and he's got one too. And I cocked it and I pulled the deal back and put it up against his back and shot him. It's a BB gun. Put a BB in his back. I think it came right out. But they had to dig it out. I don't know. But anyway, I shot him in the back with a BB gun.
You're horrible.
But, you know, lots of junk like that. Shoot, riding bicycles all over town. Franklin and I shucks, we decided to go to Eunice one time, about 10 miles away. And rode them silly bicycles. Bad thing was, about halfway there, some black guy in a pickup truck decided to help us out. He gave us a ride all the way to Eunice, which meant now we had to ride all the way back.
Oh, no.
We'd have give up before long. As it was, we had a 10-mile trip to drive back, and it turned dark a long time before we got home. I remember we tried shortcuts across some rice fields, throwing the bikes across the fence and riding on the levees. That didn't work worth a flip. But the road was all tore up because they were doing construction. It was gravel at the time. They were blacktopping it. It's kind of a mess. We got home. I got a whipping. Franklin's punishment for Pauline made him ride up and down the street on his bicycle all evening.
That doesn't seem right.
No, it didn't seem right to me either. Pauline was nuts.
That's his mom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, she let him get away with anything. Or at least I always saw it that way.
There's one story I remember you told me about hiking up some mountain and you guys left without water.
Oh yeah.
Where was that, and who?
Oh
What? How old
shucks,
were
I
you?
must have been about a freshman or sophomore in high school, and somehow or another, Dad hooked me up with a bunch of people going to Glorietta, New Mexico, to a Baptist camp. There's two big Baptist camps here in the country. One's Glorietta in New Mexico. The other's Ridgecrest in it's North Carolina, North or South Carolina. We've been to both several times.
I didn't know that.
But we anyway, this group of junior high, you know, junior high pretty much, and he might not have been a sophomore. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, went over there in an old beat up bus to Glorietta with these kids from Oakdale. Didn't know anybody except Dexter. Dexter's dad was, his brother lived in Oakdale, and I'm sure that was kind of the tie-in there. Anyway, Dad knew everybody in Oakdale. He knew everybody in Louisiana, seemed like. Anyway, we go over there, and we're supposed to be going to these classes every day, and you know, this, that, and the other. Dexter and I don't think we ever went to any class the whole week we were there. We'd run around in the woods. And Dexter was kind of a nerd later on, but at that point, I don't know, he was what was available to play with, so I run around with him. Decided there's a mountain there at Glorietta. It's supposed to be the second highest mountain in New Mexico, which is not saying a whole lot. It was probably maybe 7,000 or 8,000 foot high. But he and I decided to climb it one day, so we took off and went up. It took us something like 8 hours to get up the silly thing. And it, wasn't that steep, it's just a lot of mountain. And I can remember, the steepest part up near the top, it was just switchbacks. And you'd only go up maybe 10 foot every switchback, but, and we tried climbing straight up. That didn't work worth a flip. It was too tiring. Anyway, we got up there. Of course, we dead tired, probably mid-afternoon. And there was a fire tire up there, and a couple living up there in a trailer or something. Anyway, they wouldn't give us any water. A ranger wouldn't. And but we had crossed the stream, so we just started, and we got all this, blew off all those switchbacks coming down, just ran straight down the silly thing. I got to the stream, saw it coming up, and couldn't stop, so I just hit a tree, and that stopped me. And then I got water, and then we went on down. It took us 2 hours to get out, 8 hours to get up. But yeah, that was kind of cool. That was kind of my first girlfriend. I ran into some girl there on that trip that kind of hung out with for a little bit. It was kind of strange.
Why?
Me and girls there wasn't a mix there until I got out of high school. I mean, I knew some girls, but I didn't date anybody. Closest I got was getting to know this girl on that trip. And she didn't go with Hodgett, or no, it was Bruce. Yeah.
That's not good.
I don't know. No big deal. I don't know. It was, again, it's kind of strange. Or maybe it was, I went at her after Bruce. Or, I don't know. It was weird. But it was, I don't know, romantic endeavors had never crossed my mind to speak of. At least not in high school. Well, I say that until about the last half of my senior year, and then it was different. A little bit.
What are the other big memories that stick out before you got to the last half of your senior year?
Oh, of course, came back and forth to DeRitter a lot. A little bit to Bunkie, not that much.
And you worked for your uncles in the summertime, right?
Yeah, worked for my grandfather.
You stayed at your grandma's. We talked about that a little bit last time.
Yeah. Started out working with my grandfather.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it was okay. They put me in a parts house in his, well, first thing I had to do when the first time I worked for, so the first job I had was mowing yards. And just one yard for an old guy who fought in World War I. And, gosh, Mr. Jenkins or something like that. Anyway, he had war stories about the artillery and whatever. But anyway, I mowed his yard. That's the first job I remember having for any pay. And then I worked for Pawpaw, and the first thing I had to do there was wax Kenneth's boat. which was horrible because that thing was huge. At least for me it was. And then they put me in the parts department. And I can't remember the guy that was working in there, but he and I got along, and I reorganized their parts.
I'd love
deal.
doing that. I know I
I
probably
actually
get
didn't
that from
really
you.
reorganize it. I
Inventory.
straightened it up. Just straightened it up. I was just a kid. But I did stuff like that all the time. Dad had an old shed behind the house with tools and to feed and all that kind of stuff in it that we worked out of for milking and things like that. And about every 6 months, I'd take everything out of that little building and put it outside and then put it back in, straighten it up. Yeah, it's just me being obsessive compulsive. But yeah, I worked for Pawpaw and then ended up working for Robert and Wayne. And that was mostly just washing cars and, cleaning them up, things like that. Shoot, I can remember one year, I think it may have been between my junior and senior year, Robert got to where he'd give me an old beat up car off the back of the lot to drive back and forth out to Momo's because I had a driver's license and I started driving at 15, which is normal. They're really 14, but got a license at 15, I believe. Anyway, he'd give me these old beat up cars, and that year, the first 4 cars he gave me, I cleaned them up right after he gave me, and he sold them all right out within a week. Every time I'd clean one of them. I mean, they were beat up old cars, but clean them up, they looked half decent. They wasn't asking much for them. They'd sell them. I finally ended up with a little Carvair, which is a little rear engine. Probably one of the most dangerous cars ever made. At least that's the reputation it had, because it was notorious for spinning out in the corners, back end coming around, and I enjoyed that. But little 3-speed on the floor, and I did not clean that car until the end of the summer. And I cleaned it up and he sold it. But I had a lot of fun with that car. You could surf on gravel roads with that. Get up to about 60, and it was just like riding a boat. You just kind of using the front wheels as a rudder. But that was fun. But staying out at Momo's, whatever. Of course, with Diane for years there before I started working. And some years, I'd only be working a year or two. I mean, a week or two there at the beginning, but later it was pretty much all summer to get a week or two off. But I made my own money. I had a bank account when I was 13 or 14.
Really?
Oh, yeah. But I pretty much paid for everything I had from the time I was 13 or 14, clothes and stuff like that. I pretty much bought it on medical and stuff like that. No. But Dad never paid insurance on cars or anything like that. That was mine and Bruce's to do. First car I bought was right out of let's see, was it my senior year? It may have been my freshman year. And I can't remember for sure anyway. Whatever. School was school. I enjoyed it. Played football from 7th grade on. I remember 7th grade. First football game I ever played in where we actually played another team was Oberlin. And I can remember they had me in the backfield playing pass defense. And I'm still slow as all get out. This kid outrun me so far it wasn't even funny. And caught a touchdown on me right. Must have been first, second play. And as far as I can remember, they just kept doing it all day. But that's one thing about football, though. I never got hurt. I didn't even bruise. That's that milk cow, I guess. But they knew they'd get, if I get in somebody's way, I guess that was a good thing. School classes, stuff like that, I don't even remember much about them. I just went to school. I never had any trouble with classes. The only thing I can remember enjoying was math. And that was fun. But I can remember T. Ed, he's a high school math teacher. He'd just get aggravated because I'd forever asking, well, why in the world can't you just do this, did all that? He says, and he'd get mad because he was headed there, but you know how math teachers are. We never tell you what to do it the easy way first. We always tell you how to, the hard way. But I couldn't see the sense in doing it the hard way right off the bat. And usually most nobody else in class could see it that way. Until I said it, and then I had the whole class with me. He didn't like that. But, and Coach Leslie Smith, golly, they was coaching for something else. He'd be cussing up a storm, telling us not to cuss. You idiot, quit that cussing. He's a member of our Baptist church.
Yeah.
And, oh gosh, there's millions of stories. I mean, there were just, gosh, can't remember them all. There were so many. We were riding down Main Street with that bike Dad gave me one time, and the front wheel come off. I'm standing there holding the handlebars, and the back end's behind me. I'm just standing there holding the handlebars. The whole thing fell apart. Of course, we didn't treat them real well. But, and then, I guess, even before my senior year, when I started driving, we would rat race after church on Wednesday nights, chase each other in cars around town, and try and lose each other. And, gosh, I can remember one night I did a donut behind the city cop, and he never noticed. And when I say donut, I did a 360-degree spin on Main Street, and there was pea gravel on the street at the time. That's why it spun so nice and easy that night. I can't believe I didn't break every window in every store. I mean, Main Street was a block long. But I come out of that turn, and he had just made a left-hand turn onto the same street I was. And when I come out of the spin, I was behind on his taillights. He never noticed. Or if he did, he didn't say anything. Terry Garbone's daddy was a cop for a while, and he'd catch me in the gym and say, man, you don't quit it, you daddy's going to have to tell your dad. Let him tell you, he don't care. But I'd drive back and forth to Mama's. It's a 50-mile trip. I can make 30 minutes easy.
Jeez.
Had a little old Valiant, it'd do 90, that's about it. But I could do 90 all the way. And then the old Pontiac, I timed it, it'd do 132. And I blew a tire. Now, well, I didn't blow the tire, the retread, the tread came off. And the daylight's out of me, I thought I'd blown the engine. But when I got old enough, I started keeping the cars up. Dad never had any aptitude for, I mean, he couldn't find a dipstick on most of the cars we had. But,
did you get along with him?
oh yeah. Well, I say that. I mean, as far as I remember, I don't know, it's been so long. I don't remember him and I getting into it very much. When there wasn't any, when I was younger, up until the time I was maybe 6th grade or so, I got whippings all the time. But at some point, I can remember him whipping me in the bedroom there at the house, and I was laughing in the pillow. I mean, it just calloused up so bad, I couldn't. I was too old for that, but you didn't mess with him. He or Mom said do something, you did it. There wasn't no. I only back talked Mama once, and he grabbed me on the back of the neck, right in here, and I went to my knees. Or best I can remember. All I know is I backed off real fast. Of course, milking a cow, whatever, we all had grip. You didn't want to mess with it, but I never did that again. But yeah, his issues, his tough time was with Connie, because she at a real young age started pulling stunts and running around with people she shouldn't have been with, that kind of thing. I didn't start cutting up till I was a senior in high school.
What changed?
Don't know, I just went nuts. Realized I could get away with even more than I had already gotten away with. I guess.
Did you drink or anything before that?
No, I didn't cuss, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke.
You were straight edge?
No, but I didn't do those things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was, I think it was the week after the last football game. We had one playoff game that year, but we made the playoffs and then lost the first game.